Hey everyone, so I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about triggers and I also want to talk about safe people. So for me, for some reason, Sundays seem to be the worst panic day for me. I mean, every day is bad. I have anxiety and panic every day. The levels of panic and anxiety are different every day, and I don't necessarily have a panic attack every day, but again, it's different levels of anxiety slash panic. And I'm sure people that have this understand what I'm talking about. So, for some reason, Sundays seem to be really bad days for me, where it just seems to happen almost every Sunday that I get a panic attack more than any other day of the week. And it makes me wonder why Sundays. And the only thing that I can think of is Monday through Friday is pretty much the same every single week for me. I mean, I don't work, but it's just I do the same routine every Monday through Friday, or not the same routine, but the same kinds of things, throughout the day, throughout the week. Um, but Saturdays are usually always different. So, like for example, today, Saturday, well, now it's Sunday, it's almost 7 o'clock in the morning, and I haven't been to sleep. I actually was laying down to go to sleep, and I started having a panic attack, which right now I feel like it's building, but doing these videos and talking about it, as I've said in other videos, helps. Um, like, I don't know if it just halts the panic because I'm focusing on doing something. I mean, that's probably the reason. So anyways, a lot of times whenever I feel like a panic attack is coming on, I'll make a video to try to focus and not have a panic attack. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes that works, that works for some people it doesn't. Everyone's different. Okay, so let me focus here. um, So yeah, Saturdays are different days. Every Saturday I do something different. It's not really the same types of things like I do during the week. It's always something different. Today I went to my nephew's birthday party alone. I was originally going to go with one of my best friends, but he canceled kind of at the last minute. And I didn't invite him to go with me because he's like a safe person. I trust him. And a safe, I'll talk about safe people in a minute, but a safe person is somebody that you trust and you feel like, and somebody that you know and that knows you very well, and that if anything happened, the safe person, um, I guess, quote unquote, could save you. I mean, I don't know how else to really put that. Not that they could save you, but I think in a lot of people's heads that have anxiety disorders, they think that about safe people. So anyways, I invited one of my best friends, who I also consider a safe person, because I mean I can do anything with them, go anywhere. Kind of canceled at the last minute, and it really put me into like a high level of anxiety. This was several days ago, and several days ago when he canceled, I kind of freaked out and thought that he hated me because he doesn't want to go to the party with me. And, just all kinds of irrational thoughts. He hates me, he's been ignoring me, um, even though he really hasn't been ignoring me. I think in my head I just make it seem like I exaggerate the littlest negativity, and I make it like, you know, um, basically making a mountain out of a molehill. So yeah, I instantly just thought he hated me and didn't want to come. And I so anyways, this is my little nephew, and I had to, and I wanted to go to his party, so I ended up going by myself. I don't have a car, and if it was anybody else, I wouldn't have even went. I wouldn't have even tried to go. Um, it's my little nephew, though, and being an aunt's the most important thing to me, you know. So I had to, and I did it for him. I took 2 buses there alone, and then I took 2 buses back alone. And coming back, it was dark, and I was scared, but all in all, it wasn't as bad as I originally thought it was going to be. So I did do it, and the only reason is because it was my nephew. And, I was proud of myself and everything, but, I couldn't share in being proud, like, hey, I did it, I went by myself and came back, and, that's normal. Everyone does stuff like that, and to me, that's a huge accomplishment, but nobody sees it that way. Like everyone at the party, they didn't think, "Oh, wow, you made it. You're here. Great." I'm not close to my family, and my family knows I have anxiety, but they don't understand really what that means. So, yeah, like I wanted somebody to just tell me they were proud of me, that I did that, even if it was just on that one occasion because it was my nephew, but they didn't, and whatever. But yeah, I just feel really upset because my best friend canceled, and it really isn't because he's a safe person to me to come to the party. It was just, it was really hard to do that on my own. But it was more or less not having support, I guess. Not that he, like, supports me or anything, anyways, but in my head, because I made him like a safe person for me, in my head, I just feel like he's supportive just because he's there. He doesn't necessarily have to be doing anything. So yeah, I'm sorry, I just realized how I totally meshed 2 topics there. But yeah, I originally had, I would say, 5 safe people, which were my brother, my best friend who's a guy, my best friend who's a girl, my roommate who used to be my boyfriend, and my nephews. And my nephews are only 1 and 7, so of course they couldn't help me in a situation, but I feel like they're the only people in this entire world that I have to be strong for. I know that I have to be strong for myself, but with my anxiety disorders, like that's, as it is right now today, those are the only people that I can force myself to be strong for. I know it doesn't sound like it makes any sense, but for somebody that has anxiety disorders, it makes sense in their own head. And nobody that has anxiety disorders that say these quote unquote crazy things, nobody's making any of them up. That's an issue that I had with my ex-boyfriend. He always thought I was making things up, and it sounds crazy, just relax, just don't think that way. If we could do all that, it wouldn't be a disorder. This is why it's actually considered an anxiety disorder, because we cannot control it, at least not now. At this period, and in our whole like diagnosis, I guess, people, I think, can overcome this, but it takes a long time, and I know me personally, I'm not over it. So anyways, my nephews, I feel like I have to be strong for them. So they are kind of my safe person. Um, My brother used to be my safe person, but he really isn't anymore. He has a drinking problem. He's a great guy, but he has a drinking problem. And it seems like when he gets more into that, the drinking, he's just a completely different person. So he has gotten more into drinking, and um, he's not really a safe person anymore. I can't trust him anymore. My ex-boyfriend, now roommate, um, was my safe person, but obviously we're not together anymore, and he would repeatedly get angry at me because of my anxiety disorder. So of course he's not a safe person anymore. My best friend, that's a guy, is still a safe person for me, but I don't know what's really going on with him. Like I said, he's the one that didn't come to the party, and I feel like he doesn't, um, I feel like he hates me now, but I know it's probably just my anxiety issues. Um, but I do trust him in the fact that I know he wouldn't let anything bad happen to me. Like if I was laying there and needed serious help, he would help, and he knows me. And of course, I know him and I trust him and I care about him, and he says he cares about me, so he's a safe person. And my best girlfriend is 100% my safe person. She knows everything about me. I know everything about her. She would do anything for me. She's she's like the best friend in the world. So of course she's my safe person. But she lives um, out of state, so I don't ever see her. Talk to her a lot on the phone, but I don't ever see her. So I don't get to have her as a safe person in my life daily. And regardless of that, I mean, she's my best friend. Of course I want to see her. So, yeah, that's my safe people story. And as far as triggers, that's originally what I wanted to talk about. I was laying in bed, and one of my big triggers, and it seems like a lot of times people that have anxiety do have triggers. Sometimes they're not aware of them. But I've had anxiety for so long now, and it's been so intense that I'm aware. I would say 99% of the time, I'm aware of my triggers. What starts like the high level of anxieties, or what starts the panic attacks. Every once in a while, it will happen. Like I'll get a start of a panic attack, and I don't know why. But like I said, 99% of the time, I do notice now my triggers. At the time, and in the past, when I first got you know severe anxiety, I never really realized the triggers, and then I would always think about it, and then afterwards, like hours and hours later, whenever I came back down, I would think about it, and I would be aware of the triggers afterwards. But now I'm aware of the triggers right as they happen most of the time. So my number one trigger, or I should say my number two triggers, is my heart and my head. My heart trigger is when I feel my heart palpitate. It used to be whenever my heart would be racing too, because I have sinus tachycardia, which is basically a fast heart rate, but that's not really a trigger anymore. Not because it doesn't happen, because it still happens, but I finally learned to accept that and realize that that's not going to kill me, says all the doctors. So um, that's not really a trigger anymore. But when my heart palpitates, like I have premature atrial and ventricular contractions, when that happens, it's a trigger that leads to high levels of anxiety. And if my heart keeps palpitating, um, it usually just sends me into a panic attack. Whenever my heart would palpitate just one time, When I say palpitate, I mean like feeling the sensation of a skipped beat, or like two beats really close together, and then the way it was explained to me is the third beat is where it usually should be, but because the two beats were close together, it feels like a skip, even though it's technically not. So even when I would feel just one of those, it would send me into a panic. But now, if I feel one of them, it puts me at a very, very high level of anxiety, but it does not send me into a panic. If that happens more than once, though, it usually does send me into a panic. So I'm getting better. It's just taking a really, really long time. Um, and so my head is my other trigger. I have acid reflux, and I also have sinus issues, chronic sinus issues. So I'm the rational part of my brain knows that whenever I feel like this hot slash cool sensation in my head pretty much all the time, but sometimes it seems to be a lot worse, and then my head will feel like it's on fire. That's like the only way I can describe it. My head feels like it's on fire. It feels like it's leaking. I have another video about this actually, but I feel that sensation in my head, and like I said, I have that all the time, probably because of my acid reflux and the sinus issues and just whatever's going on. And I know this sounds so ridiculous as I'm saying it, but in my head, it makes sense. And it really is happening. So anyways, because of those issues, I feel like this leaking. It does feel cool, but it feels hot at the same time in my head. And sometimes it gets really bad. Usually whenever I'm laying down to go to sleep, I don't know if it's just that I'm more aware of it or what, but it feels like my head's on fire. It kind of feels like that now, which prompted me to do a video. I was just laying in bed, almost about to go to sleep. I know that I had a really stressful day earlier, yesterday, with that whole party situation. My cat, who I love, but sometimes he at night runs around and doesn't let me sleep, and because I'm a person that I need complete silence to go to sleep, everything bothers me. I'm a very light sleeper, have insomnia, so he was acting crazy. Like I said, my stressful day yesterday, I don't know if that I don't know if those things like bring on like these really bad high anxiety levels slash panic Sundays for me. I don't know, but yeah. So I was laying there and my head started feeling really, really hot, which is kind of a symptom of panic. But this is why I think it gets to that level for me, because I know feeling hot is a symptom of panic. However, I don't feel hot all over my body. Sometimes I do, but in these cases, like my trigger, I'll just feel hot in my head. Just my head feels really hot. So then I justify it at the time of high levels of anxiety. I will like be like, well, this really isn't a panic attack because I don't feel hot all over. I just feel hot in my head. So it has to be something wrong with my head. And then I think, oh my God, I have some kind of aneurysm or a blood clot somewhere, and all this crazy stuff. And as I'm thinking about it now, I realize there was little things adding up to me feeling the way that I just felt. And I'm just going to explain these because a lot of people appreciate whatever I do, and a lot of people are very supportive, and a lot of people actually say they feel the same way that I do and have very similar symptoms. So as crazy as it sounds, I have like these little, not sores. I don't know if you can see that. It's like a red mark. I know it looks very minor on the camera, and it is minor, but it's worse than it looks on the camera. Anyways, I don't know if it's like some kind of bug bite or whatever, but I have these little red marks in several different places in my body, and they're really hot, but my anxiety makes me probably just think that they're hot. And I think that I had a subconscious thought like, oh my God, why am I getting these little red marks? I know this sounds silly now as I'm talking about it, but hours ago when I had these subconscious thoughts, it made sense. So I think subconsciously I wondered, why am I getting all these marks? Because I have it here, I have like one on my ankle, I have one on my arm, and I think, oh my God, that has to be like some kind of like blood disorder or, um, blood clot, whatever I, thought, but I thought it was something bad. And yes, of course, I'm a hypochondriac. Most people that have panic disorder, um, generalized anxiety disorder, and mild agoraphobia. So most people that have one or more of those um, are hypochondriacs, and that's not to be something taken lightly. Like a lot of people say, "Oh, you're just a hypochondriac." Well, for us, it's a real thing. I think that kind of goes hand in hand with some anxiety disorders. Not everyone that has anxiety disorders is a hypochondriac, but a lot of times they are. So, yeah, I mean, see, I can talk about this and feel okay, but I know as soon as I stop focusing and I go back to lay in bed, my head's going to feel hot. I'm going to think it's some kind of blood clot or whatever, and I won't be able to go to bed. Like, I'm so exhausted. I want to go to bed. I just can't. And I have a fear of medications. So, I'm not going to take sleeping pills or anything. So, yeah, that's my video, and I realize it's 21 minutes at this point. So, thanks for watching. Comment below and subscribe. And thank you for all the supportive comments. I have a Facebook page, so I'll post a link below. And I also started a Zello, Z-E-L-L-O. That's a smartphone application, which I'll also post information below. But it's basically a live chat that you can do. I mean, it's live and people can chat. The room's open anytime anyone wants to go to it. I like to stay in it, just kind of in the background. And actually, when I started having my panic attack a few minutes ago, I immediately went on that app to see if anyone was in there that I could talk to, but nobody was in there. So yeah, the smartphone application is Zello, Z-E-L-L-O, and you need to register, but it's completely free. You just put in your email address and password, and I believe you can set up your own screen name. And yeah, completely free, and the room name is Anxiety Disorders Support. Anxiety Disorders, plural, Support. That's it. That's the room name. So yeah, I'm going to try to keep it open anytime. There's no password required, but as I said in a previous video, anyone can go in that group, in that Zello live chat that I created. Anyone that's on Zello, or anybody that sees these videos. So I'm thinking that most people that are going to go on there are going to be serious, but I have went into some rooms on there, and some people will be out of line sometimes. Most people on there seem to be good, depending on the room you go in, but yeah, you'll get a bad apple. So if that happens and people go in that room and put people down, not that I'm expecting that, but if it happens, I'll put a password on there, and I'll only tell people that are, serious about, the anxiety support group, and I'll tell the password in the Facebook group, which of course I'll post below. So thanks for watching. Sorry, I know I ramble sometimes. And make sure you subscribe.